פי שיתמהמה עם כל זה חכה לו בכל יום שיבוא ואף על פי שיתמהמה עם כל זה חכה לו בכל יום שיבוא בכל יום עם כל זה חכה לו בכל יום אני מאמין בכל יום עם כל זה חכה לו בכל יום שיבוא אני Good evening, friends, near and far, wherever you are. Tonight is the night that you definitely want to be. You want to be here in Eretz Yisrael. Tonight is the night of Eretz Yisrael. Tonight is the night where everything stops. Everything stops for a few moments. It's the night that you dread, and it's the night that somehow, in a very powerful way, hits harder than even Tisha B'Av. Because on Tisha B'Av, what we're doing is working very hard on making ourselves feel close to something that took place so many years ago. And yet on Yom HaZikaron, you don't have to try too hard to feel something, because it's right there in front of you. There's no trying real hard to feel it. It's right there. I just want to share with you. I just came home from Yerushalayim. I had to be there for something. And I was so conscious of the fact that at 8 o'clock, there's going to be a siren. And I had to drive at 8, I had to be somewhere at 8:15. And I had kept the windows open, and I knew that the second that I hear the siren, I'm going to make sure that I'll pull over. And I knew, and I never found myself driving during the sirens that take place here, during Yom HaZikaron or Yom HaShoah. And for some reason, I didn't hear it. I don't know what it was. Till I saw a man, an older man, was crossing the street. And I saw that while he was crossing the street, he just stopped. Right then in the middle, he stopped in the middle of the street and just looked up to Shamayim like that. You know, that was my cue, like, you're not hearing the siren, but if you'd stop the car, you'd hear it. I stopped in the middle of a main street. He was right there. I stopped right next to him. And he was in the middle of the street. I was in the middle of the lane. And everything in the world stops. Because at that moment, you don't have to get anywhere. No one has to get anywhere. No one has to go anywhere. Because nothing else matters. But being one with that moment, with the rest of Am Yisrael here in Eretz Yisrael. These are things that they're very hard to convey in words, and it's almost impossible to explain this to anyone that doesn't live through it. So I'm not going to try too hard to explain that feeling of what it was like to stop in the streets of Yerushalayim, what was it, 2.5 hours ago, and experience being one through pain. It's true, tomorrow night we'll be one through simcha, but tonight we're still one through pain. So all that's left really right now is just to sing a bit more. And there's something specific that I really wanted to share with all of us. And I just want to make it clear that I'm talking to myself and singing to myself and feeling this with all of you together.
Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shemo Shenit Yisrael, Shemo Shenit Yisrael, Ve'al Yovan, Ve'al Yovan, Ve'al Yovan Yisrael, האומרים שמע ישראל טורירורורי נררה לידדי 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 al yovad Yisrael haomdim Shema Yisrael.
About 4 years ago, I found myself in Cape Town for Shabbos, and one of my favorite things that ever happened to me is what I wanted to share with you, and it's a story that I share on any given opportunity, Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaShoah, any day of the year, but obviously specifically Yom HaZikaron, where I find it hitting in such a deep way, in such a real way. What happened is that at the table of the rabbi that I was invited to spend Shabbos by, we knew there was another expected guest, and he was coming a little bit later than everyone else. This is Friday night, and this is in Cape Town. And I was asking the rabbi, who else is coming for dinner? And when I heard the sound of the motorcycle outside, I realized, oh, okay, so it's going to be someone that maybe isn't so much into Shabbos, or whatever it was. What ends up happening? In walks this beautiful young Israeli man named Rom. And Rom was on a biking trip, on a motorbike trip, traveling from South Africa, and he was navigating back north, back to Israel, on his motorbike. So I asked him, "Achei, אתה יודע שזה קצת מטורף, it's kind of nuts. How are you getting back to Eretz Yisrael?" He's like, well, I'm just, traveling north, and I'm stopping in different villages, and I'm meeting with different groups of people, and I even have a Degel Yisrael, I have an Israeli flag on the back of my motorbike. And I thought he was absolutely nuts. That seemed pretty far out to me. But Ram was very confident. Not in a cocky, haughty type of way. Just a very real way. It seemed like he was okay with what he was doing, and that he knew what he was doing. So during the Shabbos, and he was happening to be traveling through Cape Town that Shabbos, and he got in touch with the local chief rabbi, and that's how he ended up at that table. It's beautiful. We're having a nice Yantiv meal, Shabbos meal. And then, at a certain point, the rabbi asked each person to say one thing they felt about Hashem, about God. And each person got up and said a nice word, said a nice Dvar Torah, whatever it was they were saying. Then it was Rom's turn, 26-year-old Rom. Non-religious, not Orthodox Rom, his turn. Now Rom means also, Ram means like elevated, high in his name. That's what his name actually meant. It's his turn to speak. And he starts to tear. And his tears weren't not really because of being moved or being emotional. As he began to speak, we realized his tears were from shame. What was the shame? This is what Rom said. Rom says, I'm so embarrassed because I don't really know what it means to be close to God. In the non-religious yeshuv that I grew up in, the shul was open, what did he say, every other Yom Kippur, I think he said. He said there was barely anyone there, and no one really attended it. So I didn't really have any experiences, so I don't really know what to tell you. So at that point, I couldn't hear what he was saying. It was killing me. It was ripping my heart into a million pieces. So I finally just said to him, I said, Rom, let me ask you a question. Tachlis. How many years were you in the army? So he said 5. Now, if someone says to you 5, and they're not talking about Hesder service, that means they were really involved in the army. That means that he spent a lot of time protecting me. And then I asked him, where were you in the army? And I could see that he gave a kind of a bogus answer, which means that what he was doing was something really, really serious. So after a while of these questions, going back and forth of trying to figure out what he was busy doing in the army, I said to him, I want you to really listen to me. And please take this in for the rest of your life. You're sitting here embarrassed because you think that next to us rabbis here, You don't know what it means to be close to Hashem? I said to him, let me ask you something. Have I been willing for one day of my life to actually die for another Jew living in Eretz Yisrael? You spent 5 years willing to die, willing to be killed, so that I could sit peacefully in the land of Israel. And you're telling me that you don't know what it means to be close to God? I said to him, I'm begging you, I want you to come to my concert tomorrow night. Please. I'm going to be talking to you the whole concert. I'm not going to mention your name, but I'm going to be talking to you the whole concert. And we were hugging, we were in tears. I don't know if he was there, but the next night the concert was one of these very big shuls, and as it is, I take off my glasses when I perform, and I couldn't see anything. And the way the lights were too, I couldn't see anything. But of course, I remember the night before, and I spoke about real holiness being people of real holiness are people that are completely unaware of how holy they are. And tonight, we're commemorating the thousands and thousands of people who, if you asked them while they were consciously serving the country, do you realize that you're holy? They'd laugh in your face. Yet they were the ones that were willing to give their lives so that I could be sitting right now in Efrat, in Israel, singing with you, learning with you, sharing with you, and I can do that with relative peace and calm and quiet because of some tzaddikim who had no idea that they were tzaddikim. And I spoke about, I remember the whole night I was just talking, it was Elul. It was Sivan, it was right after getting the Torah. It's right after Shavuos. I said, friends, we have no idea. We think that receiving the Torah just means, what do I have to do in order to show people that I'm holy? When the real holy people are never bothered by that question. Someone that's willing to die and give his life so that we could be here in Eretz Yisrael, is not trying to prove a point to anybody. To die, you're not proving a point. Your holiness is orchestrated from somewhere way up there that we don't even understand. We don't even know. There's a famous story that Reb Shlomo one time went to the hospital after one of the wars to visit a wounded soldier. It's a very famous story. The soldier didn't even have eyes to see anymore. I'll get back to that hopefully soon. I'm just reminded of another incident. A few years ago, I got a call from someone that said, I want you to meet my father. Who's your father? Trust me, you'll want to meet him. And trust me, we have the best spot to meet him. I said, where? He said, I want you to meet me at Har Menuchot, at the grave of Rabbi Shlomo Krabach in that area, and I'm going to bring my father there. So this guy's name was Yishai. He was a fresh Baal Tshuva, a Breslover. And I had just met him, and he was doing some kind of a documentary. At the time, this was about 10, 12 years ago. I said, sure, besimcha, gladly. He's single, didn't have a lot of responsibilities then, living in Yerushalayim. This seems like it could be a great... He told me he's an army, he's a wounded soldier from one of the wars. I get to Har Menuchot, and I see Yishai wheel his father in a wheelchair up the path in Har Menuchot. His father has no legs. He's missing one arm. The other arm he can't use. And he's basically blind. And he's smiling, laughing. He says and Yishai introduces me to his father. And he says to me, the father says, you know, he says to me, my name is Yitzchak. אבל אתה יודע איך רב שלמה קרליבך היה קורא לי? Itzikel. This guy is a completely secular Jew. And it's so hard for me to use that terminology, secular, when this guy is missing half his limbs, Al Shem Kedusha Sa'aret. So it's so hard for me to even use those words always, especially tonight. And he told me that one day when he was in the hospital after the war that he got injured in, he said he was in a coma for a long time, and he could barely hear anything. He could barely, once he woke up from it, he could barely sense anything or hear anything. But all of a sudden, one day, he felt a big bushy beard on his chest, and then he felt that his stomach started getting wet with something. He thought someone poured some water on his stomach, but it was really wet with Reb Shlomo Carlebach's tears, crying on this person's stomach. I kept in touch with him for a while. I haven't seen him in a few years. It'd be interesting to see him. But the way Reb Shlomo always related to Chayalim, with this sense and awe of, we have to be aware amongst who we are, people that were ready to give their limbs, that have given their limbs, L'Shem Am Yisrael, to be back in Eretz Yisrael. One of the highlights of my parenting was when we drove through one of the machsamim here, one of the roadblocks here, and I saw my daughters, my two older daughters, get very, very excited, specifically my oldest one. I said, "What are you so excited?" And she said, "Abba, Chayalim." It's the first time she really noticed it on her own, that we're passing by soldiers. She got so excited, she felt like she was in the presence of something awesome and holy. And she's right. She's absolutely right. We pass them by all the time. But when a child first realizes that which we speak about so highly, Chayalim, soldiers, and she got excited by it, it reminded me that not getting excited by having the schus, having the privilege to pass by a soldier, means there's something wrong with me. But tonight's a different night. Tonight is the night that through the most, I don't know how to describe it to you, friends. Those of you that are here know what I'm talking about. Through this very personal level of pain and of loss, it's a night that puts everything into perspective. Everything into perspective. So in memory of the Kedoshim, I think I saw the number before, what was it, 23,000 and something, I forget right now. I had it open in front of me a second ago. Whatever that number is. And unfortunately, every single year we have more and more of those numbers being added on to this horrible list of people who have given their lives for Eretz Yisrael. Hashem should wipe away all tears soon in our days. All tears of pain should go away.
Oh,
You know that term? I have such a good friend, this guy would take a bullet for me, or I love that person so much they would take a bullet for me. What a humbling feeling it is. And it's we're reminded this on a night like tonight that we have thousands of people that would take a bullet for us. Well, how do you treat someone that would take a bullet for you? Do we wait till they're dead to come to that realization? This night is a night of, it's not just a night of hokara, of thankfulness to those and remembering. It's a night of deep, deep avodah, deep, deep recognition, of deep accepting upon yourself, how am I going to treat those that I remember willing to take a bullet for me? It's literally a night of tshuva, and in tshuva, an integral part of tshuva is Kabbalah alaba, accepting upon yourself something for the future. It's interesting, I never really connected to the way people mourn here in Eretz Yisrael. I don't know what it is. I always felt that there's some kind of element missing, and that it can't just be a night where there's no, yalla, grabbing from the depth of the pain to see what can I do with this right now. And I really feel that this awareness of we live amongst 18-year-olds that are willing to take a bullet for us, when you live with that kind of awareness, it does something to the way in which you conduct your daily life. And friends, I don't mean to sound, God forbid, judgmental, especially not on a night like tonight. But this happens here in Eretz Yisrael. This is an Eretz Yisrael inyan. To end the story that I said before, I spoke the whole night at that concert in Cape Town about real Kedusha being something that you're not even aware of. Really talking about Rome that whole night. At the end of the show, after meeting so many beautiful people and saying goodbye to people that I just met, there was Rome with his motorcycle helmet. He was hiding in the back, the whole shul. It was one of those big shuls that had a few stories. He was hiding in the back. Rome came up to me, and he didn't say a word. He just cried on my shoulders. We embraced. I knew that no matter how much more time I'd spend with him, I could never feel closer. I knew at that moment that, despite having met him 24 hours prior, that what the gift that I felt Hashem gave me is something that I would never be able to put into words. So I think about Rome every single day. And I think about the thousands of Roms who aren't even aware of how holy they are. I've been having an ongoing conversation with one of the members in our community, an amazing guy, a special guy, who wants to understand how we define the concept of kadosh, of kedusha. And when you hear in the Kel Malei Rachamim, which was recited tonight, and will be recited by hundreds and thousands of graves tomorrow, thousands and thousands of graves throughout the country, B'ma'alot Kedoshim u'teorim Kezohar ha'akia mazirim. We're speaking about the Kedoshim, That's not Stam, that this coming Shabbos we read Achrei Mos Kedoshim. So my friend kept on asking, not in a challenging way, but in a real ratzon, a desire to try to understand how do we relate and how do we define the concept of Kadosh. I'm always reminded by one of my favorite Vortlach, one of my favorite titles by the Mea Shilach, by the Ishbitzer Rebbe. The Ishbitzer Rebbe says, Kedusha Lashon Hazmana. When you mekadesh someone, you are mezamening them. You are making them ready for something. You prepare them to be ready for a certain something. Kedusha Lashon Hazmana. Which enables us to understand the pasuk that says, Kedoshim tiyu ki kadosh ani. How could God say, be holy because I'm holy? That sounds like God saying, create a world because I'm able to create a world. What is God really telling us when he compares the being holy to the fact that he is holy, the reasoning behind being holy? So now we understand that that kadosh means to be ready to do something special. Like kiddushin, ha'ish mekadesh, the act of marriage is, I'm making myself ready for you at any given moment because you're ready for me at any given moment. So God says, Kedoshim tiyu, be ready for me. Be ready to be touched by me. Be ready to hear my words. Be ready to feel my love. Be ready to be in tune with direct messages that I have for you. Why? Ki kadosh ani. Because I'm holy. I'm ready for you any given second. We all know that no matter how much time we spend away from God, that moment that we tune back into it, we automatically expect God to be right there, even though we kind of left the show a long time ago. But what in our hearts, we know Ki Kadosh Ani, because God is saying, I'm always ready. So Chevre, Chayalim, HaKadoshim, that are ready at any given moment to sanctify God's name. This is a night filled with Kedusha. Kedusha, like we can't even imagine what's going on in the air. I would really pray that it's really not just another night of commemorating and mourning, but it's a night of awareness, of deep awareness of those who left us and those who are holy right now and that are willing at every given second to be ready for you and I. May the Mashiach come speedily in our days, with our days, and together we should be privileged to rejoice and dance with every single soldier, with every single loved one who gave their life so that you and I could be here in this world. And may the concept of Kedusha, may we learn how to truly be holy Jewish people from our holy Chayalim HaKadoshim. Tehen nishmatam tzura b'tzur l'chaim.